Good evening, YouTube. This is Kayleen Stern coming at you from my kitchen. And as the title suggests, this is not a ration review because I don't have any rations. I'm waiting on some to come in. But I should get some in next week. But whether or not I will be doing a stream next Sunday, I don't know. I'll just have to see what happens. But then again, then I just may do it anyway. But anyway, what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to put together a little something that could easily be changed up to fit your own needs or tastes. But shelf-stable ingredients except for the cheese. This is the cheese that I showed, one of the cheeses that I showed in my shopping haul. But this bag of chili, and as I was looking at the back of it, that is Ameriqual. They packaged this bag of chili. It is not the same type of pouch that you'd find in a ration. It is not a retort pouch that you could put in a pot of water and boil it. It might stand up to an FRH, but because it's so tall, it would have to take a very large FRH, or you fold the top over like that. But of course I'm not going to do that because I have my pan on the stove. So along with this chili, see, this is no bean. So I went to my stash of canned goods and got a can of chili beans. So I'm going to go ahead and open this can up while the pan on the stove starts to heat up. That's just a lid being dropped into the sink. Now this is by itself a 3-serving pouch. And then the can is 3.5 servings by itself. I had to use 2 hands in order to put the chili in. Now I'm coming over, so I'm going to unplug from the power bank for a second and switch my camera. Let's see. There we go. I'm going to mix the two together. I only had the heat up on high just to start to get the pan hot, and then I turned it down right after I put the chili in. This will obviously make more than enough for me for one meal. But that's okay because I will eat the rest tomorrow. I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to rotate this back around. And I'll set you back there. And this is the white American cheese. And these are the chips. I'm just going to open up the chips. Because these are so big, I would break a few of these into smaller pieces. Because these are more of a tostada sized chip. It's something a little bit more than a nacho, but you can use the same chips. But I'm going to taste one of these by itself. See what these taste like, because I have never had this particular brand before. They're a little bit nutty, so they're more of a toasted corn, almost as if they're made out of the corn nuts. They're crunchy, so they're a little bit denser than your standard tortilla chip. So these should hold up well to use as nachos. So now my sauce is heated up, my chili. I'm just going to take the bowl over to my pot and then put some into here. and then I'll show you that. So there is, that should be better if I'll just flip. So there it is. It's a little runny. Now I can see the chat. Spicy Tuna Rolls, James Ortiz, Enfos is here. And Food Forest Permaculture. Gear Grindin. That is who is here. This cheese tore, but that's actually okay because I wanted to tear it anyway. So I'm tearing up the cheese. In the smaller pieces. And the rest of this bag I will put into the fridge. In fact, I'll do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and take a taste of this cheese. This is called White American, so it is slightly different. Apparently, I normally don't eat White American cheese because I normally don't buy it, but people say it has a slightly different taste. So I'm going to go ahead and take a taste of this. It has a slightly milder flavor than the orange American that you're more accustomed to seeing. Now the cheese should already be starting to melt. I'm just taking a just kind of tapping it. Even if you did not have a fresh cheese, if you had a shelf stable cheese like the Cheese Whiz or some of those Kraft canned cheeses that I have shown before, or if you had some Bega cheese, or say cheese from an Australian CR1M. I don't know if it's in the PR1M because I've never had one of those. And it's been a while since I've seen a review of that on YouTube. Or if you had a cheese powder or freeze-dried cheese that you mix up, you could put that on there. You could add additional things if you had some other herbs or seasonings that you want to put in there. There's LC in here. So this is my little surprise. Another way you could do this is if you had those tortilla bowls, you could put this in the tortilla bowl and have it that way. And then once you eat this, you still have that other tortilla that you could also eat if you wanted to, say, use the chili as a dipping sauce for something else. So anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and move this to the side. And I grabbed this can of the mandarin oranges. When I store cans for longer term, you don't want a dent. I didn't realize till after I had gotten out of there that this had a dent in it, but that's okay because I'll go ahead and eat it. I could wait, but just to make it so it's less messy, and let some of the juice drain out. Before I open the can all the way. This is just something that I do. Actually, this bowl is almost too small for this can of mandarin oranges, so I'll fix that real quick. Sorry about all the flipping around, but this is the only way I figure I could get this to work. See, the cheese is already look like some of the pieces are joined together. So anyway, what I'm gonna do, it'll take me a couple of trips, but I'm gonna shut my overhead light off because I don't need that in here. I'll put that away later. So I am just going to move everything to my table where I usually do my reviews from. Actually, I'm going to put these chip slices back up here so that Pumpkin doesn't get into them, because she wanted to get into investigate things before I was ready to go live. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and throw my trash into the trash can. There. I just want to do a little cleanup just to get all the trash before she goes after it, because I don't want her to cut herself on that sharp can. So anyway, I'll be right back with my phone. Again, I apologize for all the shaking around and things like that, but when you're trying to do things in two different places and it's just you and the one camera, I don't have a way to do it like Yossi did. So here is a chip with the chili and the cheese on it. This would be better with probably a more Mexican style cheese, but I'm happy with it. There is CT in the house. Thanks for dropping in. No ration, although one component of this was made by a ration packer. Ameriqual packed the beanless chili that I use for this. And then I added a can of chili beans. And I just mixed that up, and I tore up some white American cheese slices and put that on top. I kind of let that sit there while I emptied the can of mandarin oranges into a bowl, and then I transferred that to a bigger bowl because that can was almost too much for that littler bowl, so that's why I changed to a different one. But these are tostada style chips, and I broke them into smaller pieces. So I figured since I don't have any rations, I wanted to come up with something. So I kicked around some ideas, and I thought, I want something that would be shelf stable, or mostly shelf stable. But you can change this up any way you want. Instead of putting your chili on top of tortilla chips, you could put it on top of a bun like a chili sloppy joe. And of course, you can always put this over hot dogs. No, he has had some stuff to deal with. He did put up a post on his community tab yesterday saying that he has had to deal with stuff, and that next time he goes live, he will provide an update. But I figure since he did not post it all last week, I figured something had to be up. He's dealing with stuff, and he didn't go live last night, but at least he got on and put up a post saying that he would not be going live, so everybody has a heads up. But he would provide an update soon. Yeah, like I said, he's had stuff to deal with. Life, I'm pretty sure life has been kicking his dupa lately. Yeah, we all go through that now and then. I didn't make a special drink. I just have tea that I usually drink. I drink coffee. See, this mug here, a lot of the writing on the branding from Quick Trip has worn off because I use this all the time. But this holds 20 ounces. So I drink one of these full of coffee, and then I drink tea, hot tea in it. And so I have hot tea in there now. Well, it's more like lukewarm, but that's pretty much, you know, and it works out that I make enough, I heat up enough water in my coffee maker to fill that mug because the carafe for it only is marked for 5 cups, a 6-ounce cup. And so I used my 2-cup pitcher that came with my stick blender. I filled the mug with water, and then I poured it into that to see where it stood as far as level in that measuring cup. And so I go by that every time I want to put water in the reservoir for the coffee maker for either coffee or tea. And so basically equivalent to about 550 mils of water. You know, 2 cups is 16 ounces, so that's a 20-ounce capacity mug. So that's just how I do it. Well, James, it's good that you're on the mend. Yeah, that can happen sometimes. I used to be on the other end of that, where I was actually doing the help. And I've known other people who have had issues with home health aides and people coming in to do what we in the biz would call homemaker service or non-medical type work for a client. And some have had issues with the staff that would come in to do that work. But I tried to do my best. And if I could get away with it, I would try to go above and beyond what I was required to do. And occasionally I would make a little extra kind of clandestine shopping run for a client where either I would buy the item requested, as long as it's not too expensive, and either the client pays me afterwards and I provide the receipt, or the client just says, can I have you pick this up for me and bring it next time? So I would do that. And then any change back, because usually they paid me in cash, and then I could give them their change back along with the receipt. So that's what I did. So I have done that for clients. Or I would just bring something in that I find would be useful to the client that they could not get provided. Yeah, the people that my mom had to work with her after her last stint in rehab, after she spent nearly a month in the hospital and then a week and a half in a rehab center. Yeah, she had some that did really good and some others not so much. But, the rehab center where she went to after her most recent stay in the hospital not only was the same place, but she got into the same room. Well, sometimes you do have to, in a respectful kind of way, do that tough love. I had a client who was not all there cognitively. And so this person, I would assist with a bath, but this person would want to only wash, say, one part of their body during the bath and call it good. And I said, no. When you take a bath, you wash your whole self. I will wash what you cannot reach, and you do the rest. And I had to remind this person also to make sure your finger is clean before doing your blood sugar test, because you don't want to contaminate your blood sample or mess up the machine, because that test strip has to go into the machine and it's very hard to clean them buggers out. So you have to have a clean sample in order for that thing to work properly. I know that, CT, but when someone only wants to, say, wash one side of their body and not the other, it's you just have to deal with that person where he or she is. And then I've had others who are even less there cognitively, but take direction more easily. And of course, if they have animals, I enjoyed that even more, because I would usually get to give them a little ear scratches or belly rubs or whatever. One of my former clients had 2 red poodles, and I gave the smaller one a bath. Gave myself a bath in the process too, but I didn't care, because I actually enjoyed being around those 2 dogs and the cats that were also in the home. Elsie, that's not good. Someone was not all there mentally. And I've also dealt with a situation where a relative of the client was trying to hit on me right in front of that the other female in the house. Basically wanting to cheat on her with me in front of her. So I reported that to the agency that I worked for. Yeah. That is just plain disrespectful. And of course, the client heard that. It's not like the client wasn't, was deaf or anything or fast asleep. This person was awake and heard it. So after that, I never went back there. And no doubt, I'm sure they someone got a good ripping from the agency about trying to do that to staff who was there to provide a professional service. After all, the VA was paying for the service because, the client served their country, and the least that could be done was provide quality care. And I was trying to do that, but I can't do that if others in that house are going to get in the way of that. Yep. I don't have a whole lot of relatives in my family who have done that, but my grandmother, my late grandmother on my dad's side, was a neonatal nurse in the hospital that I was born in. In fact, the day I was born, she was on duty. So you don't get that too often, where your grandmother actually gets to take care of you after you're born. Now, there is onion powder in both the bag chili and in the chili beans. But if you wanted to add extra onion, you could definitely do that. Now this is mild chili, so it's not hot. So for those that like the chili but can't take the heat, then this would be the way to go. But if you want to spice it up, obviously you can add more spices. Yeah. I thought about adding a can of Rotel, but because this is already liquidy enough, I decided not to do that. But that is another way you can go with this. Or you can add fresh. Nah. I'm probably the weird one for pairing this with mandarin oranges, but I don't care. Habanero is for those who want a little bit more heat. The last, yeah, the last time I dehydrated some hot peppers, there were a few habaneros. So those are in a little mylar bag. Saved up for later use. There is a Chelsea in the house. I am rationless at the moment. But I wanted to do a little something. So I decided to pull down the bag of meatless chili that I got recently. Then I looked at the back of it and saw that it was packed by Ameriqual. It's one of their civilian packagings. So I figured, well, it's a ration packer that made one of the items. So that's as close to a ration as it'll get tonight, but I'm expecting some rations to come in. Yeah, I have seen people show those pouches in their Dollar Tree hauls. I don't get to Dollar Tree that often. I mean, I take two buses to go to Walmart. I could take two buses to go to a Dollar Tree. But I just haven't done it yet. So I might actually have to do that one of these days. Well, it'll be next year. Of course, Dollar Tree went up to $1.25 here way back in January of this year. So nearly everything in the store will be at least $1.25. I suppose the only exception would be is if they are clearancing something out that they're not going to get anymore. But I don't know. I haven't been to a Dollar Tree in quite some time, but from what I've seen and other YouTubers who have done these Dollar Tree hauls, you can find some decent stuff there. And then you can find some absolute crap. It's the same with any of the other dollar stores like Family Dollar, Dollar General. There are some discount stores that I have seen on other channels that we do not have here. We do not have Big Lots. We do not have any of those stores that would get stuff from other stores that either is not selling at all, that they want to get rid of, or could be order errors or something like that. I'm not sure how stores like that work, but sometimes you might find something that is past the best buy date or very close to it, but yet is still usable. You just want to use it up sooner than you would something that has a date that's farther out. We have Quick Stars here, but I have not located any that are close to a bus stop, but I see the ads on YouTube. What we do have here are Quick Trip. We have Come and Go, Get and Go, and there have been some Quick Shops, but I don't know how many of those are left. We have a few BP, which used to be Amoco, used to be by itself, and then BP bought out Amoco, and then I think it became BP Amoco, and now it's just BP. But we have a few of those. And of course, we have Casey's, and Casey's is headquartered in Ankeny, Iowa, which is a suburb of Des Moines. And then the Come and Go built a new headquarters building just outside of the downtown area. So I don't know if it's their the headquarters of the whole company or just a regional thing, like our Hy-Vee stores, which is our grocery chain that is in several states surrounding Iowa. that is headquartered in West Des Moines. And then they have their food production facilities in Ankeny. But I don't usually buy anything from those places as far as food goes. A few years ago, I took $10 into the Quick Trip that is actually a block away from my street. And I went and bought items in there and did a video on that. See, I bought a small can of green beans. I think I bought a cheap pair of the mechanics type gloves, which I still have those gloves. I have them in my get home bag. And then I have, let's see, I think I bought another, just a couple other items just to prove that you can pick up some of those types of items, although at a much higher price because you're paying for the convenience and you get a smaller size, but in a pinch, it can be done. That's the only reason why I did that. Well, I mean, he's eaten fries before, he's eaten poutine. And speaking of poutine, I would love to take a certain Canadian into the library cafe, which I pass by every time I ride two different buses that go up and down University Avenue. So if I'm going to the Hy-Vee that's near my mosque or I'm going to the mosque itself, I pass by that library cafe. Although it's been, I think, 2013 or 2014 since I was in there and had that poutine. It was awesome. They put beef strips in the gravy that they put on top of the fries and the cheese curds. And the others in the group saw what I was having. And I think they decided next time they were in there, they were going to get that. Yeah, a properly made poutine is worth the money you spend on it and worth the wait to get it. But whether this one that the Library Cafe does, if that's a proper Canadian poutine, I wouldn't know because obviously I've never been to Canada, so I don't know what a proper one would be. Yeah, so like I said, the Library Cafe put beef strips in their gravy, but it was absolutely delicious. And I believe it was a thinly sliced roast beef. They use a cheddar cheese curds. The yellow or the orange cheddar, not a white cheddar. I don't fold pizza either. Unless it was an absolute necessity. Otherwise, I would just two-hand it. Nope, droopy pizza's not good. If onions have no business being on the planet, then that person is on the wrong planet. Because some of us like our onions too much. And speaking of onions, I think I am going to go pick up onions for the mosque on Tuesday. Last week I did it on Wednesday because Thursday the weather was not so great, but it's not like it's going to be this coming Thursday. In fact, tomorrow we're supposed to get dumped on. How much, I don't know. And then Tuesday's supposed to be partly sunny. And Wednesday and Thursday, we're supposed to get more of the white stuff. Plus, the temperature is going to nosedive. And I checked the forecast for Friday. The high is supposed to be 0 Fahrenheit. So they have been dropping that. And so earlier this afternoon, I actually turned my heater on because I have been having it off for quite some time. And so when my room temp was at 65 Fahrenheit, I decided I'll just go ahead and turn it on because it'll probably get cold tonight. And I unfolded the wool blanket. So my thermostat, the way according to my remote control, is it's set to come on at 60. If it drops below 64 degrees Fahrenheit, then it kicks on for a little while and then it'll shut off and it'll just keep doing that. Oh, there is Mike in the house. I do want to go up to Canada one of these years. But I can't go by myself because I would need a driver. I would need some way to get across the border. And I don't want to walk across the border because I'm afraid that I would get stopped. Even at a proper checkpoint. Yep. See, summer would be the time to go because I want to try fishing up there. Not that I'm any good at fishing, but I do at least want to try it. And my late dad had friends who used to go up to Canada to fish all the time. As far as I know, he never did, but he went up to the Boundary Waters or northern Minnesota to fish. And you go in certain parts of the Boundary Waters, you get in that water, you go out part way, and you are in Canada. There is Sleepy Dog Construction in the house saying hi to everyone. Thanks for dropping in. So hope everything is going well down your way. Yep, I decided to do a little kitchen concoction. Shelf-stable items except for the white American cheese. Since I'm currently rationless, but that is supposed to change. This week I'm supposed to get some stuff in, depending on how the weather is. It could actually come in fairly late, or it could be held until Tuesday, who knows. Not too often this has happened, but it has happened on a rare occasion when our weather has been extremely nasty that the Postal Service or other delivery companies will not put their people on the street. they will issue notices of delays due to weather. So that bag chili that has no beans that I showed in my recent grocery shopping haul, which happened to be packed by Ameriqual. I showed that at the beginning of my stream when I was showing the items I'd be using. So, somewhat ration related because it was packed by a ration packer. Then I got a can of chili beans out of my canned food stash. And I mixed the two together in a pot on the stove. And then I put that over some tostada size corn tortilla chips, which are a little bit denser and have more of a toasted corn flavor than your average tortilla chips. They're a little darker in color. So the bigger ones I broke up and put them in the bowl. And then I put the chili on top of that. And then I tore up a couple of slices of the white American cheese. And just let that sit there while I opened up a small can of mandarin oranges. And that's the whole can in there. And yes, I will eat this entire bowl because, heck, a 15-ounce can of fruit, I'll eat that in one sitting. So I have no issues eating a 10-ounce can. Or whatever the heck that was. But this is just something I wanted to do just for fun. And just to give someone ideas on a quick meal. And if you don't have fresh cheese, if you have a shelf-stable cheese, you can use that. Say those Velveeta cheese pouches, you could use that. The Cheese Whiz or other branded cheese sauce in a jar or a can. You can get the nacho cheese in a can or a jar or a pouch. Or those blue Kraft cheese cans that I've picked up at Walmart. Those are shelf stable. You can use one of those. If you have the Bega cheese, like the kind that is in the Australian rations, you could use that. Or the Russian cheese that is somewhat similar to the Bega. You could use that. Or if you have the freeze-dried cheese shreds or powdered cheese, if you reconstitute that, you could put that on there. You could put your own extras in there. Dehydrated onions or garlic, fresh. You can put your chiles in there. Fresh, dehydrated, or freeze-dried, or powder, or chili flake, I said in the beginning, you customize it to how you want. And if you have those tortilla bowls, you could put this in there. Yeah. Those giant flatbreads that are as big as a pizza, if you had a larger serving of that, if you're feeding more people with it, you could lay one of those in a larger bowl, pour a whole big pot full of the chili in there, put your other stuff in or on it, and you could serve it that way. Or just put it over bread like sloppy joes. I mean, this kind of chili, you put it on chili dogs. Yeah, it's the chili, whether beans or no beans. It's one of those things that you can have so much fun with. Yeah, for all we know, it could be Canadian maple syrup in one of those tanks. Wouldn't that be a heck of a load? Oh well, has to be boring stuff. Nothing exciting. Like real 100% legit maple syrup. Or James, were they just wanting to sneak peek to see if they might be able to sneak a nip and relieve you of a few ounces of whatever your load was? I know that. I'm just having a little fun with it. When I worked at a Greek restaurant many years ago, the guy that would supply our dairy products would have little cartons of the Nestle Quick chocolate milk or the strawberry milk. He would always ask me or anyone else who happened to be there inside if we wanted one. Now we could just pay him and he would just keep bringing them. And he would just sell them to us for cash right off his truck when he would be bringing in dairy products for the restaurant, like the milk we would use or the feta cheese or butter or the big buckets of yogurt. And usually in the mornings, I was in there by myself because I would be doing the advanced prep for lunch. I would get there in the morning, start cutting up my veggies, making the tzatziki, and other stuff like that before the cook would get in there and start cooking the food for lunch. And then that would leave me time to help the cook do that so that everything was done by the time the first customers got in for lunch and we could start knocking out the food. And so I would be one usually I'd get me a carton of the chocolate Nestle's Quick or the strawberry and drinking that as I was doing my work because I didn't want to dip into the soda machine before customers got a chance at it. Thanks for dropping in, Mike. Oh, there is Storms in the house. Thanks for dropping in. No ration tonight, except one of the items that I used was packed by Ameriqual, which is a ration packer here in the U.S. The no bean chili that I used to make up some nachos, I added a can of chili beans to that chili and heated that up on the stove and poured that over some large size tostada corn chips that I broke up into smaller pieces. And then I put some torn slices of white American cheese on that. And just let that sit for a bit. So that chili packed by Ameriqual is the closest to a ration as I got tonight, but I'm hoping things will get here sometime this week, but that will be depending on the weather. Because our weather tomorrow and then Wednesday and Thursday is supposed to be a load of the white stuff, and then Friday through the weekend downright cold into the deep freeze. So I will probably not leave this building until Tuesday. Yeah, it's gonna be some places it's already bad. If Camp Patton Family Compound put up a picture, and I think he talked about it in a video, but on his community tab, the forecast was supposed to be 9 above 0 Fahrenheit, or no, 7 above 0 Fahrenheit, but the thermometer that he showed 9 below 0 Fahrenheit. Yeah, the low was supposed to be 7 above, but his thermometer was showing 9 below. But yeah, I do agree on the chili has to have beans. So that's why I went and grabbed a can of chili beans out of my canned food stash. I can't say I grabbed it out of my pantry because I don't have a pantry. I don't have a space in this apartment that I could dedicate as a pantry. It has a storage closet, but because it is right on the other side of the wall where my bathroom plumbing runs up and down, and because of the issues that I used to have in the past, until that finally got fixed after about 9 tries, the humidity in there was just not good. So I keep stuff in there that is impervious to humidity, or something that I can make that way by putting it in a plastic bag. Say, I get the big packs of the baby wipes. I will put those inside of a plastic bag in order to help them retain their moisture longer, just in case the pack might have gotten breached. Or any other kind of the moist wipes that are of that type, I would put into a plastic bag. But things like my toilet paper, paper towels, napkin packs, things of that nature I keep in there. My garbage bags are in there. I have a bag of pellet type cat litter in there. But because it's a pellet type, I will not put that in a litter box, because I think that would be too hard on a cat's feet. So if I use that for anything, it might be for my bucket toilet, or because it is pelletized pine stuff, I could burn it if I had to. I keep my trash bags in there. I also keep some bags of charcoal in there, but I put them inside of plastic bags just to keep the humidity out. Uh, that was good to get that out of there, because like I had in a previous apartment when my heat pump was actually in the closet because of the way that it was done. Water could get in through one of the pipes that was supposed to carry vented air out or condensation out. That pipe was not sealed into that hole, so water from rain or snow melt would get into that hole. And because it was basically a corner from where they put the new entry, that was a water trap. And so water would get in through there. That really caused some big problems, and my dresser that I had at the time, the bottom of it started to disintegrate because it was basically fiberboard or plywood that was used to make that dresser instead of slabs of dimensional lumber. Water went underneath that wall that separates the housing of the heat pump and the wall into my bedroom. So that dresser literally started to fall apart at the bottom. And I had mold in my clothes from all that moisture. And on top of that, the tile that was in my bathroom in my tub surround was on drywall that was disintegrating because the nuthead above me let his tub run over, and that ran down into the walls because apparently it wasn't caulked. And so all that water ran down into the walls, and the tile was literally about to fall in, so I couldn't use my tub. I stayed in the hotel for a week just so I could have a bed to sleep on because I'd piled all my clothes onto my bed and onto my couch in my living room, so I could not sleep in my apartment. I could not shower in my apartment. So I got a hotel room for a week. And then I complained to the management. They wanted to blame me for all the leaks, even the ones that happened above me, even though they knew better. But I kept challenging it until they finally decided to settle just so they wouldn't have to listen to me anymore. But I only got half value of what I lost and half the cost of my nights in the hotel. And I used nothing that would have been like extras in the hotel. Like I never got anything out of the mini fridge. I used my own toiletries, like my shampoo and conditioner and soap when I took a shower, but when I could go back into my apartment when the repairs are done, I did nip the little things that were in the hotel bathroom. I did nip those. But yeah, the manager wanted to blame me for all the wetness as if I caused the rain to infiltrate and I caused the leak from above me. Yep. I think had I not gotten it dealt with as soon as I did, black mold would have developed in that apartment, and it would have cost the landlord a lot more than it did to make the repairs. Of course, black mold is the reason why I have Pumpkin, because her previous family had to move out of where they were living because of black mold caused by material failures in that apartment, and the landlord literally had to gut down to the studs to make it livable for someone else. So he moved his family elsewhere, and where they went, they couldn't keep Pumpkin with them, so that's why I have Pumpkin. But I post pictures and videos of her now and then so that they can see how she's doing, that she's just living like a typical cat. Well, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, I had to deal with that all by myself. Yep, I moved all that stuff myself. That kind of stuff is no fun. Yeah, the place where I was at before moving here, I had some issues as well, but those were dealt with at least at that particular time. They were taken care of immediately. And although one person thought that I should be the one who has to pay for it, even though the leak came from above me, that person was shot down. But of course, then management changed, and then I complained about ice melt not being put down on the sidewalks, or at least not provided. No one came to plow the parking lot so that people could get in and out safely, or at least walk across the parking lot. So I complained to the city, as if I was reporting someone who had not cleared their sidewalk after a certain amount of time. Because here you have 72 hours after the snow stops falling to clear your sidewalk, or you will get a citation from the city. Well, I reported the property that I lived on. It wasn't done in a timely manner. And so, right after receiving that complaint, the management company dumped our property as a client because they didn't want to deal with complaints. So it was up to the residents ourselves to deal with our own stuff. And there have been times where I would be on my way home from work and I would stop at a store, buy a package of ice melt, and I would throw some of that down myself. But I have not seen that put down here. Last winter, there was a bag of it right by the door. That way, if it was necessary, anyone could just dip into it and throw some out. But I have not seen any of that put down yet. Now, after the last snow, actually last night, I heard someone running a plow blade over the parking lot. But we only got about an inch to an inch and a half of snow. Of course, that has since melted after it warmed up above freezing during the day for a few days. But I guess we'll find out how things go tomorrow, whether or not they get it taken care of. Now that's not good, because had you not done that, someone could have easily reported that property to your town if your town or city had a code similar to ours where you have to clear your sidewalk within a certain amount of time after the snow stops falling, or you could get a citation or even a fine. And if someone from the city did it, you would get the bill. Or the responsible party would get the bill. And speaking of ice melt, the bucket that we had at the mosque has always, after when we went into spring, that bucket just stayed underneath this bench up by the entry all summer long. It just stayed there. So now it's there to be used. and someone could get a bag and just refill that bucket. So I'm sure someone is dealing with that, or will deal with that tomorrow. Yeah, that's what a lot of the landscape companies around here, they will do snow removal in the winter. That way they can stay afloat basically. But we have people here who will take care of the sidewalks and driveways for disabled residents who live in houses, or elderly people who live in houses. Like the one couple that are co-owners of Hill Isle Groceries, they have a friend who will come and do their sidewalk and driveway for them. They're both in their 80s. So they don't do as much as they used to physically, but they got a friend they've known for a long time who's not all that much younger than they are, but he's got the means to do it. He has the equipment and he does it. Plus, he does it for the mosque anyway. When the management company for this place, when they first took over, they use what I like to call a text blast, where they send a group text to all of the residents. They sent one to all the residents of all the properties under their management, saying that they have to, if they live in a house or a duplex or maybe a small building, maybe no more than maybe 4 units, those people are themselves responsible for clearing the sidewalks and driveways. But they sent a memo to apartment dwellers with the same thing. So I'm thinking, yeah, right. I'm not on the first floor. I don't know how I would do that. I can only clear the snow off my deck if I choose to. And I just don't choose to. No, I figure when it melts, it'll just melt between the deck boards. So either our maintenance person is supposed to do it, or they're supposed to hire a contractor to do it. Like one of the landscape companies that also does snow removal. And for one thing, the driveway has to be cleared, at least enough for the garbage truck to come and empty the dumpster, and to allow for emergency vehicles to get in and out. So I have no idea what it's going to be like for this winter. Yeah, we haven't, this will be our first big snow. Sorry about that. I got briefly disconnected as I was finishing off the juice from the oranges. Now this is in juice. It was not in syrup. Oh, that sucks. That has a big thing going around. In fact, one of my sisters just got over the big nasty a week ago. And she had it bad enough where she couldn't taste or smell. In fact, she posted online about maybe I should eat the healthy foods now while I can't taste or smell them. But my brother, who's currently staying with two of my sisters, he got exposed to it. He got the virus and tested positive, but he didn't get as sick. In fact, he started a new job. He's working here in Des Moines for I don't know how long, but he already started a new job before my sister went back to work at her job. My other sister, who lives there, did not test positive, and my third sister, who lives in a separate house, was not exposed. But neither was I, because we didn't go to the rehab center where my mom was, and that's where she got it. I had not been there since Thanksgiving Day, but I still chose to do a test just to be on the safe side. And it was negative, obviously, but I still wanted to do it anyway. Yeah, see, it's not only the big nasty, but the flu and then the RSV. All three of those are bad here in Iowa. Yeah, it's probably depends on how long you were there, whether or not they were in the contagious stage, or something else was protecting you, or just your immune system. But my mom had to delay getting her drain removed while she was positive. So that delayed her getting out of the rehab center. But I have not talked to my sisters about her status lately because I figured, with one just getting back to work after getting over the big nasty herself, and the other two being busy with their jobs. Well, now three since my brother's working, and he's taking a bus. So I shared some tips with one of my sisters who then shared those tips with my brother. So he will do that for a time, and then he'll probably decide later on if he wants to start driving again. If he wants to reestablish Iowa residency, then he probably would have to take the test to get an Iowa driver's license, but he's not selling his Arkansas property. He is keeping that because he does eventually want to go back down there, but he hasn't been able to get work down there since his accident, and he has to find work that will not be so physically demanding because he messed up his back in that accident. So he's working at an auto parts store. So he doesn't have the physically demanding work like landscaping or construction that he's done in the past. So he will use that money to pay the expenses of his Arkansas property, like the property tax, because that's all he has to pay is utilities and property tax if he still has the utilities turned on down there, because he paid cash for it years ago when he bought the property. He basically bought the land and the house, well, a trailer which needed a lot of work. That was basically a freebie. And then, because he was landlocked with no access road of his own, he had to talk to a neighbor in order to get an access right to go through his property so that my brother could get to his own, because what is around it is very thick forest. It's a Ouachita National Forest. And so this neighbor not only granted him rights, but actually helped pay for the road to be built. So both use the road. So the neighbor uses it to get onto the property, and then my brother used it to get onto his own property. So in the long run, it benefited both. So while my brother is up here, that guy will maintain the road down there because it's basically a private road. And my brother wanted to be up here anyway just to spend more time with Mom, because since my parents moved up here shortly before my dad died, he's only been up here maybe a couple of times. So my mom is happy that all 5 of her kids are in town. And that's just one more person who could do some stuff for her. You know, that my sisters and I do. I do stuff when one of my sisters takes me over to my mom's apartment, or like the mint antacid that I showed in my shopping haul videos. I buy that specifically for her. I don't ask for payment. I just choose to do it because that's one way I help her get prepared for a time when she may not be able to get it, because that is the only antacid that she can tolerate. I don't know why that is. It must be something about the mint ingredient itself. But the other chewable versions of the Tums or the store brand, they don't help her at all. But the mint one, that's the only one. So I make sure that she has a supply of that. So I have already got those bagged up. To give to her when we all get together next weekend. Well, Garrett, that's another way to do it. So one of my sisters does most of my mom's grocery shopping, unless my mom eats the extra $10 for a delivery. And my sisters all trade off taking her to her appointments. They schedule them so it's on one of their days off. So say one sister has Wednesday off, another sister may have Thursday off. And when my oldest sister is not at her school on a weekday, she could do some of that. So they work it out that way. I'm the only one who's not in on that because I don't drive. And because my brother doesn't drive, he will not do any of that. But he may ride along if he's not working. Of course, he just started this job, so he'll be focused on that, but he will be able to do other things as needed. Now, Sunday night, I just may be here anyway because my family celebrates Christmas and they always do it Saturday night. And so a couple of those other cheeses that I showed, those string cheese bites, I'm taking those with me. And that beef bacon that I showed, that is going to be turned into another one of the treats. So you cut a strip of the bacon in half, you wrap it around a water chestnut, and you secure it with a toothpick, or you do the same thing with the little smokies. And you lay them out on a baking sheet, and then you put those in the oven and bake those. So one batch will be done with regular pork bacon, and then when my oldest sister comes to get the package of beef bacon from me, I'll give her that. And then I will give her the other gift items that I have already put into a bag that she can then just slip into another bag. So it's called a white elephant. I don't know how many of you are familiar with that. Basically, every gift bag or box is supposed to be identical in outward appearance. No names are put on it. I'm not sure how this is going to work. This is our first time trying it. And so I told my sister that I have everything in a bag, so it's all tied up. That way it's concealed. Then she can slip that into the white bag. She's getting white bags. And so those will be handed out. And it'll be a surprise to everybody who gets what. I mean, you'd hope gifts are a surprise, but because there will be no labels on any of them, I don't know who is going to end up with that bag that has a snow brush. The shorter one, not the really long ones that a lot of people have, but the shorter one. For one thing, the store had the yellow ones, and I wanted something that was visible. So, yeah, this yellow one will work. Plus, it will be easier to bag up, and it won't be so conspicuous as to what it is, especially after I bagged it up the way I did. And the gloves that I bought, I stuck a pair of hand warmers in each glove, so there's 2 pairs of hand warmers. Then that hat I stuck in there, the hat that I bought, and then that box of the Sweet Tarts candy canes, that's in there just for fun. So I'll give that bag that has all that stuff in there to my sister, and then she will go ahead and put that into the white bag. And I guess they're going to be stapled up or taped. I'm not sure how she's going to do it. Oh, years ago, we had dogs. Different kinds of dogs. Little terriers to... We took an aunt's black lab after she could no longer keep her. So we took Muffin in. We did have a German Shepherd at one time until we had to pass her off to someone else during a move. But there have been dogs in the house. So I have grown up with dogs, and I'm surrounded by dogs. I have a dog next to me. He is half Siberian Husky, half German Shepherd. And there are other dogs in the building. I see them occasionally. In fact, I was out yesterday getting the mail and taking some trash out. Another one of the resident dogs was outside. But he's a small dog. But the one next to me, he's a lover. And he's a handsome boy. Yeah, I've grown up with dogs, and I just don't have one here. But I figure with all the dogs that are in this building, when something goes up, those dogs will alert everybody. Well, that's good that you have that bond. And, you know, I bonded with the dogs that I've lived with in the past. Just like I bonded with cats. My younger nephew had one dog, but he had to cross the Rainbow Bridge. And then another in-law had a pit bull who died, and so right now my niece, my great niece, just has a cat. My other nephew does not have any pets, but my younger nephew has all the reptiles. Plus, he has some quails in the basement. Well, this table, it's actually a folding camp table. But I used to, when I first started doing reviews, and I have a wooden TV tray, and that just got to be too small. So I got this table. I figured, if I'm in a group camp setting and we needed a collapsible table that's easy to pack, this thing can fold up. But I have never taken it out camping because either others have gone that have tables, folding tables that they can take, or we had picnic tables and we didn't need to have so many. Plus, this is a square. Whereas the tables that others I've camped with, they're the folding rectangular tables that can fold in half. That would be about the size of this one when it's folded. And also, this floor is not a flat floor. There are spots that have broken down where the cement board that is underneath this carpet has literally disintegrated. And because My apartment is one of the few that did not get fully renovated. I don't have the solid floor with new subfloor or other stuff put underneath the finished floor. I don't have that solid surface. Plus, this foam mount itself is a bit wobbly, but I make it work. Yeah, my cherry table that I made in a shop class has my microwave on it because I don't have sufficient counter space for my microwave. Well, I would if I didn't also use that counter space for storage. I have some of my water storage containers on it. Plus I have stuff in front and under it because it's one of those bar type counters on the living room side. Yes, though, the quails are cute little birds. And my nephew has, at least the last time I was there, he had two sets of them. One group was a little bit older than the others. Then, because he breeds snakes and geckos, mainly corn snakes, and the smaller geckos that are probably maybe about as long as this bowl is wide at their biggest. He also raises rats and mice. That he will prepare. So he will dispatch them when they're big enough. The ones that are not going to be the breeders. He will dispatch them and he freezes them. Some he will sell to other snake owners. And he gets a little money that way. Plus he sells some of the snakes and geckos that he breeds. And that's in addition to his work at the Des Moines Zoo. Yeah, I could. But I would still have to fill the little bit of a hole that is left. Because the legs of this table have literally crushed the carpet down to that cement board that's underneath it. This carpet is right on top of the cement board. There's not a piece of wood down underneath the carpet. And in my bedroom, I can feel through the carpet where the cement board has literally cracked. So the only way for that to get fixed would be is if I literally move out, get all of my stuff out of here. And I was never offered a chance to relocate into one of the renovated apartments. You never even mentioned that, let alone say, you can do that, but you'll have to pay a higher rent. You never talked to me about that. There were a couple of times where I thought I was going to be evicted, not for being behind on rent or any other lease violations, but because a couple of different times the management company had sent guys in to take countertop measurements. And then another guy was going to come in and start tearing my counter out. And he was about ready to start doing it, even though he saw that, this apartment is occupied. So that guy had to call the management company and ask, what am I supposed to do? There's someone living here. Oh, no, you're not demoing that apartment. You leave that one alone. Yet it was on the list of apartments to be gutted. But the guy that was taking measurements, I didn't mind that because I figured, he'll probably need the measurements because, mine are not the only ones that have that specific layout, so I didn't care about that. But the other guy wanting to come in and rip my counter out without me having any advanced knowledge of it, I wasn't going to go for that. But one thing I have that the renovated apartments do not have is the ceiling fan. I have looked in them. The light that you briefly saw a couple of times in my kitchen when I was flipping my camera around, that is the same kind of light that is in the living room. No ceiling fan. Why they got rid of the ceiling fans, I don't know. It makes the air conditioner and heat work better because it can circulate the air around. Oh yeah, they know about it. They just won't do anything about it until after I'm out of here. In fact, one told me just, fill the hole myself and put a piece of plywood over top because I have a big void where my chair comes up to this table where it's literally worn down to the subfloor below the cement board. And it's the only spot like that, at least where my chair goes, because I have this table right by my one end of my desk. Because to me that's the best use of the space that I could come up with. Yeah, I don't have a separate room that I can have as my studio or computer room like I did in the old place. Of course, there I didn't have my own deck. But I haven't done anything about the floor myself because I don't know what I can get away with. That would be easily concealed. Yeah, sure, I could go to a store and buy a piece of plywood and somehow manage to carry it by bus. it wouldn't be a full sheet, obviously. It would be like a half sheet, but I would still want to fill the hole with something just to provide a space underneath the plywood so that I'm not cracking it. I mean, the hole is almost an inch deep. So I try to keep my chair wheels out of that hole as much as I can. Because if it gets in there, this chair, it sits very crooked. I may eventually do that. But being that it's winter time, I'm not going to bother with it. At least not at the moment. I'll just have to think through it a little bit more about exactly what I want to do. But personally, I think it should not be my expense. Since it is a fault of the material that's underneath me that failed. And the only other option would be is if I take my grocery hauler suitcase, go to a store and buy several pieces of flooring that I could just throw in there, and I could haul them back and then lay them down here. But I would still have to find something to put in that hole. I would probably get something like aquarium sand or aquarium gravel. That would probably be my choice of fill material. Yeah, but Elsie, dark chocolate won't solve my floor problem. Will only take care of a chocolate craving. But I will think about my options. Now, you definitely don't want to have a floor failure, especially if you're not on the first floor. That's right. I try to distribute all the weight of all of my stuff, including my preps, around my apartment as possible and avoid the areas that are already compromised. But it's just one of those things you deal with when you live in an older building that when it was built, corners were cut. I mean, in my kitchen, my cabinet doors are not aligned with each other. One is higher than the other. So you look at it, you can actually see the bottoms of the items that are on the bottom shelf. And the hinges are kind of bent on some of the cabinet doors. I've tightened up the screws on some of them myself. And my interior doors, like for my bathroom, my storage closet, my bedroom, they don't have a hinge in the middle of the door. You would think all doors in a building are supposed to have 3 hinges. But nope, my bathroom door doesn't have it, my bedroom door doesn't have a middle hinge, and my storage closet door doesn't have a middle hinge. And the door going into my apartment does. But the others don't. I'm sure that was changed for the apartments that got renovated. But at the time these buildings were built, I think their aim was just to cobble something together fast and get people in it. They didn't care if things are half cocked or not. Well, that one place where I lived where I had the issues with the leak from the heat pump and the bathroom leak caused by an idiot above me that they wanted to blame me for. When they were going to upgrade the entrances to put secured mailboxes in there, whereas before, when people had outgoing mail, they just laid it on top of the mailboxes. instead of an actual box that you put it into that is secured where no one can steal from it. Those doors are not locked, so people could go look at the outgoing mail pile and look at envelopes they think might have a check or a money order in it and would steal it. And so people would have outgoing mail stolen. Or if packages were left in there, they could get stolen. So when they wanted to replace that with a secured entrance, which got messed with numerous times, and a new mailbox bank that had a slot for outgoing mail that could not be tampered with, they told me I had to move out of my apartment because it was going to be used as a staging area for, and a work area for the renovation. So they moved me to another apartment, but they did not use it for a staging area at all. They immediately prepared it for another tenant to move into. So I was lied to. But they did help me get my stuff moved, especially the furniture. But they lied to me about why I had to move to a different apartment in the building. But had I stayed where I was, I wouldn't have had the issues with the leaks that were caused by water infiltration from outside and the water leaks from above. I wouldn't have had to deal with that. But I left that place because problems were just going on. And there were a couple of people who got evicted for reporting problems to the management. And so I decided that if they're going to try to do that to me, I'm going to leave on my own terms. So I got out of there on my own terms. There is Star in the house, all the way from India. Thanks for dropping in. I don't have any food left. I done ate it all. I'm just drinking tea, which I've had from before. But instead of a ration, I made up some nachos with tostada-sized toasted corn tortilla chips, some beanless chili that was packed by Ameriqual, but for the civilian market, a can of chili beans that I had from my own stash, and some white American cheese slices that I tore up and put on top. I mixed the chili and the chili beans together in a pot on my stove. In fact, after this is done, I need to get that in the fridge. And then I just opened up a small can of mandarin oranges and ate that. So that chili that was packed by Ameriqual, that's the closest thing to a ration that I could come up with for this mostly shelf-stable meal. Yeah, Section 8 is a bugger here too. In fact, the wait list can be 10 years. So when my mom got into her apartment, when she moved in, she got the last available unit in that building. So that property added like 4 buildings, and she got the last unit that was available at that time that she moved in. So you have to be at least 55 in order to live there. It's not an assisted living type thing. It's just a senior only apartment complex. The buildings have elevators. She has her own washer and dryer. She has her own hot water heater and furnace, but only maintenance has access to that. She cannot open that and do anything with it. So they come in once a month or every 2 months or whatever to change the furnace filter. But she has a 2 bedroom, but the spare room is her storage room, and then the closet is her pantry. And she has 2 bathrooms. So having that extra room allowed her to clear out a storage unit. And so after got her stuff in, then she has been slowly going through some of her boxes and totes, and so anything that she wants someone else to have, then that gets taken out. Or find something that's broken, then get rid of that. And so she's actually got it pretty good there, except for a time when they're accepting money orders as payment for rent. The money orders would be put into the rent drop slot, but someone who was supposed to deposit them was not doing that. Just letting them pile up, and then those tenants would get notices that they were late on their rent, even though the money orders were present, they were just not being deposited. So it was the fault of the office people at that time. So the management company had to have a shakeup. So now everyone has to pay their rent through an app. And I do that too. I got it set up where my rent is automatically taken out of my account on a certain day through my debit card. Because unlike my mom's apartment, we do not have on-site management here. The former rental office has been turned into an apartment that someone can live in. Yeah, we have had some, well, the places where I live have had some management issues. That one place that I had mentioned, in the 10 years that I lived there, there are 3 management company changes, 2 name changes, and 5 manager changes. And it was the last manager that was there when I was living there. That's when the problems got even worse. You know, if someone was messing with the locks on the security doors, they didn't care. Yeah, just like when I first moved in, you know, after we got the security doors or locks on the doors here, people were messing with them and busting the locks. So then we had to have our keys replaced. And we had to pay for the key, even though it was a fault of someone else who eventually got evicted. There's the Carlos Perry in the house. Thanks for dropping in. Just yapping here since I ate all the food that I put in front of me. Yeah, I got more, but I'm going to save that for tomorrow's dinner. I'm going to eat the rest of that chili tomorrow night. But anyways, I was saying, I had 5 or 6 locks on the last trike that I had. I had it down in a stairwell. The one stairwell where I could put it, where there was no column to support the landing above the ground, the bottom floor. I had it chained to the steps, and I had locks all over the trike to lock the wheels to the frame. Someone was let in and probably told that there was a trike down there that they could strip. Basically left me with the frame. The only thing I have from that trike is a front basket that I could take off, which has handles like a shopping basket. So then the frame itself got taken. So I have nothing left of those locks but the keys. And my police report that I filed, nothing came of it. I cannot keep a trike here as much as I would love to have another trike. That was my 4th trike that I've lost. The first trike that I bought got stolen from that one apartment that I lived in, where I had the leak issues that the manager wanted to blame on me. Then I had another trike stolen from the place where I lived before I moved here. And then I got that one replaced. And I brought that trike over here. I had it underneath a cover. That one got stolen. And then the 4th trike, I had taken it to a place called the Bike Collective, where people can be a member of it and have access to their workshop, as well as buy parts. And so I bought brake cables to have the front handbrake cables replaced. And so I took that back and I put that down into that stairwell. And so I had it down there for a while, and then it got taken apart, and then the frame itself ended up stolen. So I hadn't had that trike very long before I got it stolen. I haven't even had a chance to take it down to a fire station to have a serial number engraved on it, which I could then give to the police for future tracking. Yeah. That's not a surprise. In fact, earlier, last week, I came home and I saw a box that was addressed to a resident. It didn't have the apartment number, which it should have, but it had a name of a resident. I'm assuming that was a resident. The address was correct, and it's sitting out there. That's not good. So I took it inside so that it could be inside, not stolen by porch pirate. And it sat there for a few days. and then it later got picked up. So I'm guessing that that particular person must have been out or hadn't realized that there was a package that had been left, or probably was checking the wrong entrance. But that's what happens if you live in an apartment and you don't provide your apartment number. That makes delivery a little harder. But if someone leaves a package there, and if it has an apartment number, if I see it just laying outside, I will take it and put it in front of that person's door. But without an apartment number, I will just leave it in the stairwell and hope that the right person gets it, or someone else who knows that person will put it in front of their door. Because I don't know who lives in which apartment, because we have had some turnover lately. You know, people come and go at different times. In fact, today I took out some trash and someone was leaving to go somewhere because she was getting in her car and took off after I tossed my trash in the dumpster. Well, see, the problem with that is that has even more weight than a standard trike. And because there is no safe place where I can secure it here, I can't have that either. And I asked staff at the DART bus station, could I put a trike in their bike room where people can pay a yearly fee of $50 to store bikes in there, and it's locked, and they are given an access code. They will not allow anyone to store a trike in there. So that option is out. Yeah, see, there is no good spot here. Someone at one time says, why don't you get a scooter? And I said, I don't live on the ground floor. I can't get that up to my apartment because I can't leave it in a stairwell. Someone will try to take it. I mean, it is true that a lot of criminals have been kicked out of here. But you will still see people coming around from outside who have no business being here. In fact, in the spring, I reported a fight going on in the building, and the resident and another person both got arrested. And I think that resident eventually got evicted. Yeah, we have code boxes here, but they don't work. They have never worked. And delivery drivers, especially FedEx, they don't like it. Because they can't just walk into a building and drop something. They will not call or text the intended recipient. And sometimes they won't redirect a package to a nearest FedEx office or a FedEx drop point like a Walgreens or CVS or whatever. Or if they do, one time they redirected a package to an access point that I can't get to by bus. And then they lost it. So I had to contact the sender, say, FedEx lost my package. They have no idea what the heck happened to it. It probably got stolen. So the sender had to resend it. Another time it got directed, instead of a FedEx office, which is close to me, to a Walgreens. Fortunately, one that I could get to by bus. And I was able to go there and get it. But at least, and they don't have live tracking like UPS and Amazon do. So I will take any carrier over FedEx, at least coming here. But my box that's coming, I'm supposed to get one sometime this week coming by UPS. And if they can't deliver here, there's an access point that is not all that far from here that I can go to go get it. Well, that's okay. I'm probably going to go ahead and shut this down pretty soon anyway. Yeah, I have had some FedEx packages damaged. USPS has damaged some packages. In fact, one time, the first attempt at ordering those trays that I put in my dehydrator for doing like fruit leathers, they literally folded the thing in half because it was just in a simple mailer envelope. The mail carrier folded it in half and stuffed it into my mailbox, thus breaking one of them in half. They're not flexible like the Clean Screen that are more of a flexible plastic. These are harder plastic that cannot be bent over like the more flexible screen type thing. When I ordered them, I thought there'd be like a silicone material that's soft and flexible. Nope, it was a hard plastic. I provided pictures of the damage. I got my money back, and then the next time I bought them through Facebook Marketplace. The seller packaged them properly so that they would not get damaged. And I bought both sets that the seller had. So I got 4 of those things. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and shut this thing down so I can put the rest of my chili away and wash my dishes. And I'll decide between now and next Sunday. I may still go live. And I may have a ration. Or if I bring snacks home or goodies home Saturday night, I may share those. Or at least I'll eat them in front of you all. But anyway, I'm pretty sure I will go ahead and stream next Sunday. since it's basically a low-key day for us. But whatever the case is, I will go ahead and post up what the plan is. And if I have a ration decided on at that time, I will add a picture of that. Anyway, I do want to thank you all for watching. And thanks to Sleepy Dog Construction for dropping that super chat earlier. That's much appreciated. And especially welcome to those who dropped in for the first time. Hope to see you back again. If not next Sunday, then maybe the Sunday after that. Who knows? But anyway, catch you on the flip side.